I called down to the Orange Theory and she says, oh my gosh, like what the heck happened with this guy? Like, because what he did apparently, like once I'd left, he like got off his machine and like started like yelling at the front desk girl saying like, why did you just help that girl leave? And like the girl's like 21. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And
What is up, guys? Andrew with Pride. Today we have got one of my favorite TikTok people, one of the first people that I actually developed a little bit of a TikTok friendship with, Charlotte, aka Shardy, aka Shardy Party. If I remember
Party Shardy, welcome to the
Shardy,
peasant party. Yeah,
aka Welcome to the Peasant. Man, that works.
it
Party
works.
Shardy, Welcome to the Peasant. What?
It
Say
works.
it again.
Party Shardy, and then welcome to the peasant party is the name.
So good as one full name. It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole thing, you know?
Yes.
I love that. Okay, well, anyway, guys, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things. We're going to be talking about how to pick up a gym bay. We're going to talk about Valentine's Day because we got that coming up. Charlotte kind of indirectly became, I don't want to say dating coach because I know that's not how you think about yourself, but you post a lot of like, I like to think of myself as a logically minded person. I think everybody does. But what I like about your content is that you quantify dating in such an interesting way where it's as serious as it is a joke, but it's like it's not just like, you know, everybody's seen like the basic, and you've actually rallied against this so incredibly, but like the stuff where people be like, oh, here's how to be a high value this, high value that, yada yada. And you have done such a cool job of like breaking down all this TikTok dating bullshit. Give us the pitch on you, Charlotte.
Yeah, I'll give the rundown. So, I definitely reject the label of coach just because, I've seen people that use that it almost seems like they're trying to like LARP as a mental health professional. And I don't agree with people doing that. I think just as a whole, that title of dating coach, there is no one size fits all certification for that. It's not the same as a personal trainer where they've, gone through this accredited certification to get that. It's a label people can just slap on themselves. It's, something, I think there's some like online private courses that have no certification to become a dating coach. I don't know. Just that label, I think as a whole, like look into what that coach's background is. If before, like, I guess like trusting them as a coach is what I would tell anybody. I always compare myself. If you think of like a sports podcast is to a professional sports league, or like how Pardon My Take is to sports, Big Cat PFT, they have never been professional athletes. They've never been coaches. They're just, guys that take an interest in it. That's me in dating commentary. Right. That's how I just, so I always say like, commentary perspective. Got into doing this type of content, probably, I think it was June of 2022. Close friend and I were with a group of girls at brunch. We're talking about a past like relationship. It was never something that launched into a boyfriend girlfriend thing, but they did. It was a 3-monther type thing where they're actively dating. Kind of didn't work out.
Actively dating for 3 months. That's beside the point. But that's crazy to see someone that long and it not become a relationship.
Yeah, like exactly. And I referred to him. I said, "Oh yeah, Phil, the guy you dated." And she quickly corrected me and said, "No, we didn't date. We were never boyfriend girlfriend. We were talking." And it turned into this whole debate. Ended with, I said, "No, that's you were actively going on dates. That's dating. Like, you weren't boyfriend girlfriend. That's dating." So, ended with her saying, "Agree to disagree." I hate when people say agree to disagree. So exactly. So doing a normal, sane thing, I took a composition book and I drew up a little timeline of like, this is the talking stage. It's that window of time before that first date. You've matched on a dating app, you're texting back and forth. Once you've gone on that date and you're continuing to go on dates, call it dating. It's not a big deal. Like, I think if it's a one and done date, wouldn't call that dating, but like I drew that up, put it on, made a little TikTok video to get buy-in from the world, and it kind of blew up. And I was like, oh wow, like this is kind of a fun little TikTok niche, for lack of a better term. I'm in digital marketing as a career, kind of fiddled with TikTok as, from a more like lurking perspective. So I kind of fiddled around with making content, and I was kind of like, I think I've got something, maybe have a niche here. Let's run with it. And I think even at the time, like I'd see a little bit of dating content here and there. I was not as entrenched as I am in it now, but started continuing to make content that used goofy visual aids to talk about these dating terms, trends, cliches that you hear around. I think the next one I did was what is or isn't ghosting, just because that's a term that can get watered down. Like you'll hear people say, he ghosted me, and it's someone that just stopped talking to them on a dating app. But then you'll also hear people who say he ghosted me, and it's someone they were in a full-blown relationship with that dropped off the map. So I did a XY axis of when is it ghosting or not. That one blew up as well.
I'll actually link a couple of these at the end for the people who are watching on YouTube. Guys, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I always have a video component to this. And for this one, at least the very end of this, don't get me wrong, she does you do a very good job explaining things just like verbally, but having that like visual component to it is like it's so much better. And that ghosting one was actually that was the video that I saw from you that I was just like, this girl's insane. I love it. Like I had to follow you because I just thought it was so cool. Like that video was really good.
Thank you. I think those were the first two. And then I continued to do other, just a lot of them are either flow charts, they're on a spectrum, or something like that. Just funny visual aids to go through some of these goofy buzzwords that come in dating, or cliches that you hear around. I would go off of kind of demand from the audience, what would I see in the comments? Something I always thought was really unique about what I was doing too was, I think there's a lot of dating content or advice where it's like, here are the 3 things you should do, where it almost like seems like it's trying to guarantee you an outcome of sorts. Like, you do these 3 things to make yourself better, or do these 3 things on a date, you'll get a boyfriend. I always put things on a spectrum to show like the nuance of things. So I think I did one where it's like, what does a casual relationship really mean? And it was kind of like the most casual of casual could be a one night stand, and the most serious of casual could be a situationship where it's everything but the label and just kind of everything in between. So I really do try to like show the nuance in there, and I do like to add humor. I think the whole dating side of TikTok takes itself way too damn seriously, to the point where it's almost increasing panic in people that are already stressed out about dating. I try to just add some humor to it and make it fun where I can.
The one thing I think that was very funny to me about how you did everything was how you just kind of tried to deconstruct all these like huge buzzwords, like is that, or like we talked about earlier, like what is and isn't ghosting, what is a high value man, high value woman, all these different things that like everybody tries to like, they almost stake their, entire like content career, for lack of a better word, on like, this is what these words mean. And it's like, to even engage with a lot of coaches' content, you have to like fully subscribe to their definition and how they like to think about different kinds of words. What was it about those that you like just immediately were just like, no, like this is bullshit? What was like the first one that you heard that you were just like, no, I have to talk about this?
Yeah, so I think it's just when you're on that side of TikTok, the dating side of TikTok, there's a fine line between that and the which gender is worse, gender issues debate side of TikTok, and I hate that. Like, you find yourself on this side of TikTok, the Andrew Tates pop up, and the fresh and fits, and the pearl necklace chick who's super damn annoying.
What's that one gal's name that she?
Nelly.
I don't know. No, it's the one who like just I honestly, I would probably go as far as calling her like misanthrope. Like she just hates men, it seems like. I can't remember her name though.
Oh, like Drew F.
Yes. Oh my God, dude. That is female Andrew Tate. I hate it.
Yeah, I can't stand her, because it's just like, for me, it's like the people she's attacking like are already saying stuff that's super asinine, and she just goes for looks. It's like there's so many just normal good people where they might share those traits. And like you're insulted. You're like, if someone's saying something that asinine, like she's a smart person, she could insult what they're saying or like punch back at what they're saying. And there's so many like young men on the app, like I don't know, like I know like my younger brother, like when I was home for Christmas, he was literally like checking his hairline because he's so afraid of going bald. He's 21. So it's like it's that type of content that makes like young men freak out, like affects their mental health, and like I can't stand that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's well, and the other thing too is like with all those people who have really, really toxic traits, they all very much fit a broken clock is right twice a day. Not everything they say is terrible, like I'll probably get some hate for this, but I mean, like there's been a handful of things that Andrew Tate has said that I'm like, that's not the worst thing I've ever heard. There's things that totally. Drew Farfallo or whatever her name is has said that I'm like, yeah, like she's not wrong about that. Like stupid people will say something right every once in a while. And that's the thing that usually ropes people into their content, is that someone said one good thing that should be obvious to everyone, and then they end up getting I hate calling it like they get like sucked into the pipeline or whatever, because that's such a stupid political thing that people say now, but they get wrapped up into that algorithm of that person's content, you know? So it's, I don't know. It's so freaking,
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah, that's an annoying side of TikTok that I found myself that you find yourself on. But I think with some of these like dating coaches who kind of toe the line to that, they use a lot of these like buzzwords. And I really think just a lot of the coaches or whatever on TikTok, really consider like their background and then how they get paid and what's kind of going into what they're doing. I think the biggest things is just, TikTok Creator Fund, as well as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. They pay based on views, not likes, not those suggestions working in the real world, views. So they're going to say stuff that's going to get views, like volatile stuff. And on top of that, what else might they be doing? Like they're, selling either, content behind a paywall. They're selling coaching services. Like I think I looked through a few, and some of them sell these like ebooks or courses for like $600 or something.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, they're pointing out problems, usually in their content, problems that people maybe wouldn't realize are problems or aren't actually even problems. Like how many times do these types of coaches stitch, the most asinine and horrible dating behaviors by, either men or women? Like, they stitch the video of like the woman who says like, I just want you to pay for my meal or something. And then they, stitch it, say like, oh, look at all women do this. Now buy my course. Like just getting people riled up. Like, and it's really toxic, and they bring in these like buzzwords and stuff to try to make what they say sound, I think, catchier. So this high value man woman concept, or this like sexual market value, which
oh my god, that one kills
term
me.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's when like you said, the thing about a lot of these coaches is that, and like courses and coaching and all that kind of stuff, it's not necessarily bad. It's like you said, it's the person and it's how they're going about it. So and it is also a matter of like, okay, well, what is their actual background? I talked a lot of shit about this probably like 3 or 4 years ago, where it was just like suddenly everybody was popping up like, oh, I'm a personal trainer, and I actually had somebody reach out to me, within the last week actually, and he goes, hey man, I want to start doing like online fitness coaching. What do you recommend? And I was like, who are you certified through? And he goes, well, I'm not certified. And I said, well, have you ever worked with anyone before? And he goes, no. And I was like, well, why do you want to be an online coach? And he goes, well, it seems like I can probably work with a lot of people, but like, I won't have to necessarily like trade quite as much time. And I was like, so you want to do this because you think you can make more money and with less work, is more or less what it sounds like to me. And I didn't say this directly, but I kind of like, was like, this sounds like what you're saying to me. And he was just like, well, kind of, yeah. And I said, okay, well, what happens when you run into this problem, or a client says this or a client says that? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, then you need to go get real experience first. Go take clients, go train people, and then you can get into online coaching. And then I have a really heartbreaking thing for you. It's fucking harder than working with a client one-on-one. You're going to suck. You're going to fucking hurt your clients because you don't know what you're doing yet. So many people in this dating space do that same thing where it's, okay, I took a weekend course. I'm a life coach. I'm a relationship coach. When I followed you, I had this girl pop up on my feed, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but she had, it was some piece of content that she stitched. And then at the end of it, she goes, and I'm a certified relationship coach, so let's get into it. That made me want to jump out my window, because who are you certified by? What have you actually done? What does that certification actually mean? It's nothing. None of it means anything. Anyone can get certified in anything. And even what you said about like personal training. I know people who have gotten a 4-year degree as a personal trainer who fucking suck. I know people who have never gotten any training at all who are incredible coaches. You always have to look at what people are actually able to do. And there is something about the fact that, like I said, you don't talk about yourself being a coach, but you're still able to give an objective view that is open-ended enough that it's just like, hey, here's the situation, blah, 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 blah. You and I talked about guys, this is our take 2. We actually recorded a podcast earlier, and some got goofed up tech-wise. But something that you and I both, as far as I can tell, kind of agree on is that almost all dating advice has to be prefaced with the person needs to have some level of physical attraction to you to begin with. Any dating advice out there, if the person doesn't find you somewhat attractive, it doesn't matter how good the fucking advice is. It doesn't matter how good you are at talking. Someone needs to find you attractive at a base level first, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think with attractiveness too, I think sometimes what's annoying about like the TikTok dating coaches is they present attractive as this, scale of 1 to 10,
Yep.
one size fits all men and women are monoliths who see the same thing as attractive. There are women looking for all types of men. There are men looking for all types of women. If you go to Pornhub and look through all the categories, there's people that are looking for real weird shit. Like I have a guy in my Instagram DMs every other month. He messages me asking if he can pay me money to massage my feet. Something does it for him about feet. I don't see it.
Well, how much?
Like, I don't know.
Oh my God, you got to get a quote for that. That's so funny.
I'm not even going to open that door, but it's crazy too because I know of other women who he's messaged. He's a real person in Austin.
Yeah.
Physical features, head to ankles, very different. But when I've looked at the feet, like if there's ever been like a swimsuit picture, like a yoga picture, or something where feet are showing, similar feet. I don't understand it. Now we're talking about feet.
No. Here's the thing. Like, I'll give you a funny little story about that. Something that a lot of people don't tell you about, like getting into fitness and like lifting weights, is that even as a guy, you're gonna get a lot of DMs asking people to buy your underwear. I've gotten a lot of DMs from people trying to buy my underwear, and like every single time, I'm like, how much? I've gotten some pretty high offers. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
damn,
it's pretty wild. Even being like this like micro celebrity or whatever, which I don't know if I'm that, but I would definitely say like you are. You get a lot of weird fucking DMs, man.
Oh yeah, real weird ones.
So the one thing I want to get out there, just so we don't have to do this like over and over and over, is little disclaimer. You've kind of already said this. You don't call yourself a coach. None of this is like mental health advice or dating advice or whatever the fuck. Disclaimer. If you have a question, assume we're going to say no to it or whatever disclaimer you guys got to do before you apply any of this shit. Just do it mentally. We're keeping this as open-ended as possible. There are going to be exceptions to every rule. We do not understand your specific situation. There is absolutely no way we ever could. Is there any other disclaimers you think you got to toss in there?
Nope. I think take any advice you get with just a grain of salt, and if it works for you, great. If you've tried things that haven't worked and this works for you, great. Doesn't hurt to like look at things from a new perspective. But my word's not gospel, and neither is everyone else's.
Exactly. So by the time we post this, it will still be January. Technically, there will be like 4 or 5 days left. I know a lot of people are doing dry January right now, but at some point in time, people are going to be doing sober October, or, hey, who knows? Maybe people are just deciding to get sober, which seems to be a little bit more common as time has went on. And you had a pretty interesting piece of content, which I'll actually splice in between here just so people can see it. But what is your dating advice for people who are either sober or getting sober or taking a break or whatever it may be? I've been sober my entire life, so this is kind of like cake for me at this point, but everything you said, I totally agree with. So yeah, let me hear what you got on that.
Yeah, I think first off, congratulations if you're newly sober. I think that is just something that's really admirable. Anyone listening to do, if it's something temporary, maybe you're training for a race, maybe you're doing like dry January. I think that is an awesome and healthy thing to do, and I don't think if you're temporarily taking a break from drinking and single and want to date, I don't think you need to stop dating. I think something that's really nice in terms of date ideas. I think obviously like leaning into the coffee dates and the ice cream dates, if you're into that. I also think there's some things that are kind of adjacent to those. So if it's not coffee, think of what's, popular or big locally and seasonal as well. So when I grew up in California, a big thing was like boba, like close to LA, like the boba drinks, smoothies. I think, if not ice cream, like frozen yogurt, acai bowls, like those types of things make great first dates. As a whole, for me, with my belief in first dates is, drinks, coffee, or ice cream. I'm not a big fan of dinner dates or things where you can't really sit across from the person and have a conversation and have almost like a built-in. Yeah. So I guess those kinds of dates, I think flexibility matters for a first date. The idea of just, if things aren't, going well, there's almost like a built-in exit plan. Like, there's you either do one drink and done, or you have a cup of coffee, you're done. But if it's going well, you're in a good setting where you can either, order another drink or, go on a walk or something like that. So I really think those are the most helpful. I think with, that coffee or ice cream, choosing, doing either or, choosing a location that's, popular locally and like has something fun going on. So in Austin, we have something called like the Do 512 website where you can see all the events going on, like maybe pick a coffee shop that's going on near a farmer's market or near an art fair or something. And dates going well. Hey, let's go like walk by there, go like, walk through the art show, things like that. I think, kind of beyond that. Beyond that, I think like as a whole too, like, and I don't want to tell anyone who's, chosen to be sober what to do or what to order, what to drink. I do think, ordering something like maybe just not ordering just water or not ordering just like, a basic like black cup of coffee or something, like order something. I think ordering something fun is something that kind of maybe can like put things at ease or just make it more fun for you too, versus like maybe sitting across from someone who ordered a drink and, you're ordering water. And I think also just, owning, that choice not to drink, just because I think I've been on dates where it was, oh yeah, like we'll go grab a drink at a bar and I'm sitting across from someone who ordered water and I felt bad. I was like, oh, is this guy comfortable? Like it made me feel bad for like just picking a drink place without asking. So I think saying that up front is helpful too.
Yeah. So for anyone who didn't watch my last podcast, which is episode 43, I've been sober my entire life. I'm 30 years old right now. And when you go out on a date with someone and you don't drink, it will be a question. The more like unconcerned and casual you are about it, the better. Usually you'll get questions about it, and it just like the more you create the idea that it's just a non-issue, like you don't care that they're drinking. I never have cared that someone's drinking as long as they're not like planning on getting fucking hammered in front of me. Usually the one thing that I will say is if you go out somewhere where someone is ordering an alcoholic drink and you get a water, I don't know why, but it does make the person who's drinking uncomfortable. Buy a fucking mocktail or something like that, because I don't know why, but that just makes it less weird or something. For whatever reason, that's just been my experience.
I agree. So I agree with that. Like it makes me just like from one standpoint, just kind of like feel bad because it's just like, oh shit, why we could have, I would have been down for a coffee date, or like I would have, is this person having fun? Like, did they, do this as like a favor for me? So, but I think, if they ordered, even if it was just like a Diet Coke or something, like that would just be like, okay, cool. Like has some caffeine in it or just something fun. I've always been told my whole life, just out of, just politeness, is, if someone tells you they're sober, like don't start asking nosy questions, like if they want to share that story with you. But that should be met with like a, oh, that's awesome, good job, and let that story be told if they're comfortable with it.
Yeah you and people are like, generally people are pretty open about that. Like it seems like there's a little bit of I wouldn't call it pride, but there's like something about being sober nowadays that like is like interesting to people because it is really uncommon. But and yeah, guys, like if someone ever like brings that up, they like, you're sober, it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with them. It is people trying to connect and understand you on a different level, because it is something that is fairly unique. So it's no different than like, when I was a little kid, I don't know if you can see it, but like I've got tons of scars on the left side of my face. And people always ask me about it. And like, I would have adults be like, oh my God, don't ask that. And I was like, why not? This is like a very cool feature of my face. And it's a really cool story, So it was like, if someone asks you a story, assume it's completely like innocent. People are not trying to hurt your feelings. And after this, I'll stitch this your little like sober dating TikTok right here.
Awesome.
God, yeah, you had said one other thing that I like just thought about dating, and I completely lost it. I know it's something in there about why is it, if you have any idea, you're on that side of TikTok more than I. Why is it that suddenly there is like so much hate around, like, for lack of a better word, like cheap or zero cost first dates? Because my idea around like the first date is, like you said, you keep it as open-ended as possible, so there's no time commitment. You can leave whenever you want to. There's not a huge financial commitment. Because I mean, God, dude, I remember like my first date with this one gal ended up, being like $100 and something or whatever, because like I was super vibing her and I wanted to go to a nice restaurant. And then I don't know, dude, like 10 or 15 minutes into that date, I was just like, it is not here in person. Like we had a super good over the internet and everything. But then like once we actually met in person, I was like, there is absolutely no chemistry here. And I felt like a fucking idiot.
That kind of thing is so normal too. Like the person's attractive in their pictures. They might even be like really physically attractive in person, like objectively like, oh wow, but there's just something that doesn't click. Like I really think sometimes it can come down to like their mannerisms and stuff like that. I've had that happen so many times where I could look across and say, this is a good looking dude, but just the connection was not there despite good texting. So that's why I always like suggest those like dates where they're more flexible in that way. And then, you don't feel like, even if you're not the one paying, even if you want the guy to pay, time's valuable. I think with women too, like this idea of like, oh yeah, like it's no big deal, he's paying. It's like, well, is your time not valuable? Like,
oh yeah.
Like I like an hour on a Tuesday, no big deal. But like if I'm stuck waiting for a check for a full meal, it's kind of like, oh shoot, like it makes me feel bad. And it's kind of like, I don't want to be looking at my watch. I'd rather, I'd rather be on my couch than with someone I don't want to spend time with. I think the kind of bad rap on those like coffee date, drink date type things, I do think some of that is coming from these dating coaches or these people that like that are, maybe not dating coaches, but influencers who do these 15-second videos of just like, a guy is trash when he does this, or like he's not serious if he is doing this. And I really think it's coming from that kind of thing, and just people are picking up on it. Because if you look at, like, I follow like a decent amount of professional matchmakers who have helped people find husbands, wives over the course of decades, and have that backup to guarantee, who literally say drinks and coffee first date, make sure there's a connection. If you want to go big, like put that money in a piggy bank, save it for a good second date. Like literally. I think it's coming from these kind of influencery takes, these high value type takes. I do think there is this almost antithesis to it, where it's, men who are frustrated with dating, who, the types that might say like, oh, she's just after my wallet, like all women are terrible, who have made videos that say like, the best you're going to get is a coffee date, $1 coffee. And like, you better not be after my wallet. So I think there can be people that see that version of guy making TikTok saying that, where it's, they think that's the type of coffee date that's meant when people are talking about coffee dates. And it's not. You can have a great coffee date.
Absolutely. No, you can, like, it's again, it's just one of those things where people are also looking to, and I think everybody's guilty of this. I know I've done it, where it's, I go into a date thinking I'm gonna get this person to like me, and it's, that's usually what tricks you into these like really expensive dates or like really lavish dates and stuff, is because like you're trying to, I don't know, like impress this person or whatever, instead of just like see if this person actually clicks with you. And one of the things that I heard that ended up being really, really useful in my life is exactly that. Like, anytime you go into a first date, don't go there trying to like win this person to your side, or win this person to like, because I think there's this weird like little bit of value that we're trying to like, oh my God, this person likes me, so that means something good about me or whatever. And it's like, if you go into a first date with someone and the intention is, do I actually like this person? The quality or the cost of the date is going to be the least important thing there. If you click with someone, you click with someone. There is nothing that you can do. You cannot fight attraction any more than you can fight whether or not you do or don't believe in something. It's there or it's not.
I 100% agree with that. And I think sometimes that's where those, lower cost dates, like I don't want to call them cheap, because I think there's a difference between cheap and low cost. Like, I think you can have a really lovely coffee date at a local coffee shop and have a nice walk at, down the street to the farmer's market, and it's, feels cute and sweet, and it's $15 total. I wouldn't call that, I would call that that's low cost, but I think those kinds of things, like the lower cost, like it takes kind of the frills out of it and that artificial attachment. I think, maybe sometimes if you have that expensive date, maybe you feel like you're racking up a tab with that person. Like, a guy spends $100 on you, like, and you had fun, like, do you actually like him, or did you just have like, did you get kind of blinded by this experience versus this person?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like, when you go out on those like really expensive dates, there is something to be said for like the law of reciprocation. People almost feel that they are like due something, or that they're required something because of that. And one, if you ever feel that, like, that's, that should not be the case. And if someone ever says that is the case, you should run as far away as you can, as fast as you can. But when there are those expensive dates, like, oftentimes the person who is not paying might feel that they need to, reciprocate that date in some kind of way. Like, oh, I have to give them a kiss, or I need to get them a second date because of like how much effort they put into this first one. It's like, no, dude, like that's another one of the benefits between those really, really low cost ones.
I totally agree. And like, as much as I think like, nobody owes anyone anything, but just, woman looking out for yourself, like, it's rain, not so much like, no victim blaming, but if it's raining outside, bring an umbrella, but just having that you walking away not feeling like you owe somebody something, or like, you know, you could be in that situation, you don't know this person at all, like,
Yep.
you know, don't, I don't know, like I've had those types of situations where, like, you know, I've ended being like, no, I want to pay for my part of this date because I don't want to feel like I owe somebody anything, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that analogy, by the way. If it's raining outside, bring an umbrella. That's a perfect way to say it. You brought up something earlier that is, I mean, it's like just how it's kind of been since the beginning of marketing, but I feel that it has gotten louder and louder and more intense. And I have a friend who is a very good marketer. He's a really good trainer, but in my opinion, he's kind of pigeonholed himself where, you know, he can't really make content in any other direction because this content now challenges things that he's been preaching for, you know, 5 years or however long it's been. The unfortunate thing about any kind of coaching is that when you leave it open-ended, not even open-ended, but when you tell people that there is this massive variance in any kind of coaching, you know, whether it's dating or fitness, like what I do, people don't really like that because people like feeling that the content is very direct, very specific for them. And honestly, the more inflammatory it is, the better it seems to convert. So it's like you said, you know, there are these people who do top 3 this, top 4 that, 10 ways to blank, and that shit converts so well, but it takes it to where it is assumed as this one size fits all. What are some of the most annoying versions of that you have seen? Because there's a lot in the fitness industry.
Yeah, I think as a whole, like, I mean, I think anything that just really implies that there's an outcome guaranteed. I think something that comes with these like coaches and whatnot is they're not held accountable to the results for what they say. Like, if you think of, you know, I can I mean, anyone who's a professional and anything, you know, they want to make money, and it's good that they make money, and it's reasonable that they want to. But I think, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, helping you get to your dating goals, like, is sometimes doesn't always line up with them wanting to make money. Like, there's some types of professions, like, you know, matchmakers, like being able to say, we've placed this many people before into healthy relationships. You know, we have X years of experience. We've seen X amount of people walk through this door. That's one thing. They can show results and testimonials.
That's kind of an interesting. I had never considered that, because one of the things that I always do whenever I like do an intake for people is I'm like, look, my goal is that you don't need me anymore. You know, like, we're able to get you these results. You understand your body well enough. Hopefully, if you do any kind of long form, like, or long-term relationship with me as like a client coach, it's because you just don't have the time to, like, I have people who have trained with me for years because they work in really, really high level positions. They do not have the time to write their programs and do this and do that. They just want things done for them. But then I have other people who trained with me for 1 year, and they're like, you know, I feel like I understand things. Maybe they text me every 6 months or something like, hey, you know, I have a couple questions, and, you know, that's fine. We cross that bridge. But there is, in a weird way, some of that in the dating coaching. I'd never thought about that.
100%. Because you know how people talk about how are the dating apps really, you know, secretly trying to keep people single to keep users? You know, the dating.
Is that a theory?
It's something people say, like, you know, they want to make money, like, you know, what they're not held accountable to helping you actually find that relationship, and they're more incentivized to keep you single. Not necessarily that they are doing it, but they are incentivized to do it, and they have, you know, I mean, yeah, they can, you know, post their success stories as TV commercials and stuff, but, you know, people also, if you think of these dating coaches who make content targeting people who are single and looking for relationships, that is the niche they found themselves in. Maybe they take these people in as a client or something, like, you know, what incentive do they have to help you find that relationship? Like, wouldn't that, if that means losing you as a client, like, their clientele is single people, like, their client gets in a relationship, one less client, one less paycheck. Like,
yeah. Well, it's crazy too, because there is this, I used to work in conversion rate optimization, and like one of the, you know what ClickFunnels is?
Yep.
So, like, you know, the thing that ClickFunnels tells you is, like, when you make a page or whatever, you want like your lowest product, and then once they buy that, after you've bought one thing, you're much more likely to buy the next thing. It's just how it is. You know, that's the reason that there's always these, like, there's a ton of books out there where it's, hey, this book is free plus shipping. So all you're doing is paying the $9. But then you buy the book, and it goes to the next page, and it goes, hey, while you're here, what if you pay this other thing for this course? And right now it's 50% off. And then you're like, yeah, fuck, it's 50% off right now. So then you get into the sunk cost fallacy where you keep buying, and you get the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And there's got to be some level of that to dating coaches where it's, hey, buy my ebook. And then it's, ooh, you bought the ebook? Don't you want to get one session with me real quick? And then their job, of course, is to upsell you on consistent coaching or whatever it may be. And again, guys, there's nothing wrong with getting coaching. There's nothing wrong with an ebook. I mean, I've got a fucking huge bookshelf full of books behind me. I've paid who knows how much for different kinds of courses and stuff. There are legitimate things out there, but you have to go into it with this. What's like the manageable amount that you can actually lose on this. If you pay $100 for this coach and they fucking suck, are you going to be okay having lost that? Or do you just want to pay the $10 for a book or whatever, and then just be comfortable losing that? Hey, it is what it is. But like, you need to be aware of the fact that there's going to be upsells along the way.
Exactly. And I think, like I said too, I think sometimes the tactics that they'll use to hook you in, like pointing out these things you never thought were problems and you never saw as problems, kind of preying on a population that's vulnerable. Like this, there is the saying, you can't put a price on love.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that, they're lonely. Maybe they're panicking about getting older and having not found somebody. And, the kind of coaches that kind of lean into the, oh my God, you're almost, hey woman, you're almost 30. Like,
your biological clock is taken away. Yeah. Dude,
yeah.
I see that shit. I'm a fucking guy. So much of like the dating stuff that I see is like, hey girl, you want to have kids? You're 30. You only got eggs for so much longer. You're fucked.
Exactly. And so the other thing too is I walk out in the outside world, and that's what I think is also so toxic about this type of content is it is probably, people that are sucking it up are probably people that maybe aren't having the easiest time socially. I see, I have a really great group of friends. I watch 30-year-old women get into relationships every day or leave relationships and are totally confident they'll get into a new one, and they do. They get married, and they always move faster when you're older. Like, you see a lot more like, 1-2 years of dating versus 3 or 4 that you'd see in your earlier 20s. And they're fine. And I mean, granted, I live in a bigger city, but it's no one's running around saying, well, how old are you? 30. Like, no guy I know who's 30 is running around looking for 22-year-olds the way that people on TikTok are saying they're doing.
Yeah.
Like if it happens, it happens. But I think for the most part, it means, finding a 22-year-old kind of means like you have to go in a place to meet 22-year-olds, which is bars, clubs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Did we talk about the half your age plus 7 thing on our last podcast?
I've talked about it on TikTok before. I don't know if we did though.
What is your take on that?
I think when I look at, I do think like age is, just enough. There's plenty of people that have big age gaps in relationships. Sometimes you have these situations where, a woman's older. I do think when you look at half your age plus 7, it almost like makes sense in a way where, basically when you get older, like these larger age gaps seem to matter less. Like, a 70-year-old and a 50-year-old is way different than a 40-year-old and a 20-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it does account for that kind of variance. But I think as a whole, like when it comes down to just age gaps in relationship, I think really just the things to consider are just, power imbalance. And as a whole, like
absolutely,
people in different age groups tend to be in different life stages. And so to come across these people and make a romantic connection with someone that's, a vastly different age than you, like that it probably involves like, maybe a lifestyle where you've found a way to meet people like that. Like I think celebrities and stuff where you're in your older man working, as an equal next to a, 25-year-old model. Yeah. It's more common that you're going to meet women that are younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the like meeting people when, they are in that different stage in life. One of the things that I've kind of noticed is whenever there is like a more significant, we'll talk like 10 years plus, usually the younger person in that relationship, it was like they graduated college, they got into a serious they graduated high school, they got into college, they got into a career like immediately. That's like one of the things that seems to be very consistent is that they almost like sped run like maturity, for lack of a better word. They skipped all that like early partying bullshit or something like that. There was we still got to talk about the one big thing. How does someone find a gym girlfriend or a gym boyfriend? That. Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
We should. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've seen, God, there was I remember there was this one girl, I cannot remember her name, but she was just like, very conventionally attractive, incredible physique. Like everybody at my gym was like super interested in this chick, and everybody was trying to spit game. Everybody was trying to, whatever. And then one of the guys finally ended up like dating this chick, and yeah, it was just like everybody was like, "How did you do it?" And the this guy somehow would end up dating almost every attractive person at the gym. We were at like I was at one of the bigger gyms in my town, and the thing that I always or that was always consistent with him was that he just happened to meet these girls out like at a bar or something like that. But he was like, I have never approached a girl at the gym except to say hi and introduce myself. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't drink, so that's not going to work for me. I don't go out to bars, yada yada. But how do you recommend if someone sees someone at the gym that they find attractive? How do they go about opening up that communication?
Yeah, and I think I said in our past recording, just to note, my wheelhouse with gym etiquette and knowledge is something I'm still working on. I did Orange Theory, which is very female centric, class centric for years, and I've just started going to Golds like lifting and stuff, which has more gym culture involved. Like I'm honestly terrified of ending up in a video that's like a Joey Swole style video,
Right.
And it sucks because it's like I really want to get into it. When you pay to be a part of a gym, like you've earned every right to be there, just like everybody else. But that is something that I think is kind of on the back of my mind just as I work out. So just keep that in mind as I kind of give my takes here. I think
as with everything, like there is individual variance and there are considerations that we do not know.
Exactly. I think as a whole, like with approaching someone at the gym, I think with approaching women, I think where it can vary is like really, who's there, who's really wants to work out, who's, really who's open to socializing just in general. I think just like with anywhere else, if someone's got headphones, head down, and like, they're not stopping, like maybe they're very focused on what they're doing. So obviously looking at like those kind of breaking points, like, do they stop to get water? Do they stop to check their phone? Like those types of things where, they're a bit more in a approachable position.
Are they the kind of person who's chatting up with like other people at the gym and stuff like that?
And I would say if you see them striking up conversations with other people, I would say that's fair game. I think beyond that, like, check like checking for rings and stuff. Obviously, like if they've, have a sign of a significant other, that is that's the thing people run into with like approaching people in public. I think like, definitely if you're, younger and you kind of don't realize that yet, like, just knowing that, keeping that in mind. If it's someone, maybe you want to wait an extra couple of days and just kind of get this person's vibe, like you've seen them at the gym a few times versus like, oh, that's my first time seeing them and they're attractive. Like, maybe coming back to the gym at the same time and, maybe waiting a few times before approaching, like if that just makes you feel comfortable. I also think as a whole, like approaching someone anyway is going to be uncomfortable. So just make sure you feel comfortable because, you want to be confident when you're approaching. So if it's kind of like, maybe I want to like get the feel for this person before I do it. Like, maybe you give it a week of seeing them at the gym, you realize like, oh, doesn't seem like they have a significant other. They have a pretty calm vibe. They seem social here and enjoying coming here. Like, why not approach? I think a good time to do it just as a whole, like, just giving yourself like that space, like should it not work out? I think first off, like shooting your shot is awesome. It's just if you take just taking any sort of rejection with stride, and
absolutely
not getting upset. I think a good time to do it is like on the way out the door or like, on your way to the locker room. So you can, collect your own emotions or feelings. Like, should things not work out, like, don't necessarily do it right when you get there and you're both there and you have to go work out for the rest of the time.
You've still got an hour and a half where you're just going to be 5 feet from that person, just awkward as fuck.
Exactly. And I think most people, like if they're approached by someone and, they're either, not interested or they're just not in a place to date you, like for all, like they're in a relationship or something, like most people are like respectful and polite. Like I think there's this kind of perception that, a rejection means like they're going to look you up and down and go, oh no. Like I think most women are, polite. They're still flattered either way. Like even if they're not interested, they'll still be polite about it. And I truly think like any sort of like very intense reaction would be like out of the norm, and like that would be a woman who's kind of an asshole. Yeah.
The approach thing is such a big deal too, because as much as like not to make this a political thing, but as political as it has become to like never talk to another person, like in public for whatever reason, it's like, hey, don't go with a cold approach, don't do this, don't do that. That is, I don't want to say it's appreciated by people, but it shows a level of confidence that is extremely rare nowadays. It shows that you believe in yourself. You understand, that you are, I don't want to say like a high value person, but it's like you you believe that you are someone who's like worth talking to, and confidence matters so much.
Oh,
And
100%.
like I've had oh my god, dude, I remember this one time. I was sitting in Starbucks with a friend of mine, just like getting work, and this girl walks up. I still remember her name. This girl walks up to me and puts her number in front of me and says, "Call me later." And I was just like, "What?" And like we ended up going on a date. It was cool. We didn't vibe, but I mean, God, dude, like even though this girl wasn't necessarily what I was looking for, like I felt great about that. It was super
And that's
cool.
so
And people
cool.
might say, "Well, you're a guy, it's different," but like again, almost no, as long as you're not a fucking weirdo about this, almost anybody's going to appreciate that. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel, seen or recognized in some way that feels good. And you just have to be prepared for the fact that the cold approach might not pan out, and that's okay. That doesn't
But
mean
if it
anything about you.
does,
It's just
like,
not always there.
yeah, and what's cool about the approach that she did is, she's probably doing it on her way out the door. She gives you her number and then walks away. Like, it's not like she has your number too and is looking down at her phone to see, like, is he going to text me back? Like,
Yep.
I would also say too, like a lot of times, like if you're a guy that's about to go shoot your shot, do it right before you go out to like hang out with your friends or do
Yep.
something fun. So like you forget about it in the back of your mind. Like I've told people, like if you're gonna go DM someone on Instagram, like swipe or delete the message from your Instagram. Don't unsend it, but like delete it, forget it's there. And then when she responds, it's like a little Christmas present.
Dude,
Like
that
not,
is brilliant.
yeah,
That's
like
so smart. Yeah, because it's like then you don't end up just like staring at it. Did she see it? Did she this? Did she that? Did she blah 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 blah? So that's
exactly.
actually another thing then is the Instagram approach. It's obviously not quite as confident, but maybe for whatever reason you just don't feel comfortable like sliding into, or excuse me, going to like say hey in real life, which by the way I really do want to stress does set you apart. But if someone's going for the Instagram approach, like it's someone at the gym, they don't have any mutuals or anything like that, for any in any real life mutuals. How does someone go about that?
Yeah, so I think just if you're averse to approaching someone in person at the gym, maybe this person is kind of head down and you don't want to interrupt them, but maybe you want to shoot your shot in somehow. I think using those kind of like digital tools that you kind of have at your advantage is huge and can be helpful. I think Instagram is a big one just because I like a lot of people, when they go to the gym, what do? They take a picture for their Instagram story and they tag
Yep.
the gym, or they do a gym selfie. So checking your gyms, they're the geolocation story or like tagged photos. Like people will tag the gym with like progress pictures and stuff, or like follow their gym like a lot of the time. So I think like checking those, and if that person pops up on there or you notice them tagged in a picture or like things like that, like I think that is fair game.
Oh yeah. So I
Yeah.
actually have a story about that, by the way. I know we talked about this last time, but I thought about this very recently. There is, so I had someone, I follow my apartment on Instagram because it's a cult and I think it's really cool. And I had this girl from TikTok actually message me and say, "Hey, I noticed that you follow this place. Is this where you live?" And I was immediately like, "Oh fuck, this is creepy." But then she was like, "I'm actually moving there, and I just wanted to get your take on it. Is this place cool?" And I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" And then like we're really good friends now. She just moved in a couple weeks ago, and like she freaking texted me this morning and was like, "Hey, blah blah blah. Do you want to go get coffee?" Like she's just a good friend now. But the again, we come back to this important thing with the any kind of approach, any kind of dating. It is only as effective as the person finds you attractive. There's nothing you can do to change about that. There's no magical scale or anything like that you need to fall at this number on. It's just if somebody finds you attractive, they'll respond or reciprocate in some kind of way. And if they don't, they'll, possibly give you a, kind of cold response or none at all. And that's okay. Like that you got to be able to just like accept that and it mean nothing about you.
Exactly. And I think especially just because this is a person you don't even know at all, like it's not personal because they don't know you. It's not like they've read your life
they
story.
don't know you
like,
shit.
oh. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of times too, it's just the approach you can take is just with these kind of like colder approaches. I think a big thing that people can do is just, make sure your own Instagram is public. If their Instagram
That's
is
a great
public,
point.
I think that's fair. I think putting maybe your city in the bio, just like, I think my bio probably says like ATX or something. I think just that feeling of, with women, that safety aspect is a concern. Like, there's, there are times where it's like, maybe this guy is attractive, but is he real? Is he scary? Just making it kind of almost known that you're safe. Like
The
seeing
more
that
human you appear, the better,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, seeing mutual follows for the same gym or like restaurants and stuff that are local, I think is huge. Like when I've gotten DM slides or follows where there's nothing in common, it's kind of like that's I worry about it. But if I even see like just different things around Austin and stuff, it's like, okay, this person's in Austin, like this person seems more real. But I think just the approach that I think if they have a public profile, I think that means they're open to, that implies that you're open to strangers following you. That doesn't necessarily mean they're open to communicating with strangers, but it's not like, oh my God, this creep followed me. I think a good DM is just like, hey, like I obviously like follow the gym because people like to follow their gym, and like totally realize like I've seen you around, like wanted to just say what's up. And like, I really think too, like similar to, you're out and about in a bar or other social setting, like you see someone drinking a, vodka soda or something, you say, hey, what are you drinking? If they're not into it, they'll just say vodka soda and turn back to their friends. But if they're into it, they'll say, oh, vodka soda, what about you? And the conversation's open. So if you say like, I recognize you from the gym, like wanted to say what's up. And she just says, oh, cool. Like, hey, like, nice to meet you. Like, but if she, then, okay, cool. Like, back away. But if she says like, oh, I totally recognize you. Like, do you always go on like, 5 to 6, like on weekdays or something, like,
right.
Conversations open, keep going.
Yeah. You can always feel the vibe if someone wants to engage with you. And again, it's, if somebody doesn't want to engage with you, maybe they just like fucking need to get through their workout. They have work in 20 minutes and they got to fucking finish up or something like that. But one weird little thing that I learned, and I wish I could remember where I learned this so I could credit the person. But it was a really, really simple way to like gauge if someone is into you at all, is go up to someone and say, obviously like if it gets opened up, it's like, hey, my name is so-and-so. And if they say, oh, nice to meet you, my name is blank, there's something there. But if someone just says, nice to meet you, they don't even want to share their name. Like,
that's weird.
What was that?
I think that's weird if they don't. Like, I think that's definitely like a don't talk to me. Like, like if they share their name back, like I don't know that that's like a shoe-in necessarily, because I do think there's some politeness.
It's definitely not a shoe-in, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like they at least want that. It is enough to acknowledge that you're a human. You can ask a second question at that point. But if someone's just like, nice to meet you, fucking move on. Like they don't even want to share their name with you. You're good to go. Again, it means nothing about you. That's it.
Yeah. And I would say too, like some of these like cold approaches, like I think there's also the perception that like a cold approach means you have to walk up to this person and say like, you're the most beautiful person in the world, and I would love to take you out on a date, and like get down on your knees and like sing them a fucking song or something. Yeah. You can really, I think there's those like light feelers, like similar to, the gym version of, what are you drinking? Like, but like, vodka soda, what about you? Like,
what like pre-workout you using?
Yeah. Or like, oh, like you see the pre-workout, like, oh wait, what pre-workout is that? Or like, they see they're wearing a t-shirt from their college, like, oh shit, did you go to, Arizona State or something like that? Like I went here, like, go Sun Devils or something like, and usually if they're into that, like they'll keep the conversation going from there. And then it's, hey, by the way, like I'm so-and-so, like see you around here a lot. Like, and then, things can go from there. Like, I think those like light touches are just a better start.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just realized I totally reversed it. It's ask the person their name, and if they ask for yours back, then there's some level of interest there, or not even some level of interest. Just they've acknowledged that you're a living human. You're not just like an NPC, basically.
Yeah, like reciprocating matters so much for everything.
Yeah, exactly. I want to close it out on something funny. Can you tell me one of your worst dating stories?
Oh, gosh,
I will share one of mine. You want to go first, or you want me to?
I guess I'll tell.
Barring illegality,
I'll tell a gym, sort of like a gym one, I guess, because I think that's relevant. I had a date that was, and it was right after I gotten out of a long-term relationship. I don't know that I was ready to date. And I think if you feel like, you're just out of a relationship, you think you're not ready to date. I'm not one of those people that says like, get off the dating apps, you're not ready. Like, I do think there's some value to like, not knowing if you're ready or not and going on a date. There's a lot of great relationships that have come out of people doing that. But looking back, I wasn't ready. But went on this date. The guy was really into it. And I think now knowing what I know, but just in the moment, just out of a relationship, didn't just, things where it's like, maybe nodding along to things that, or like not realizing the weight of my words when the guy said like, oh, Tuesday, like I'll totally make you dinner. Like I make a great steak, and me going, oh, that sounds great. Like versus like, kind of putting some, putting more like arm's length in between. Like right. I just thought I was being polite. But one of the things we had in common, like I had nothing in common with this guy. He was super weird. Was we both went to Orange Theory, but he went to the one across town. He liked going at like a weird time of day. And I think I said like, oh yeah, like I live right above like this, like my Orange Theory. I go to the 5 o'clock class, like every weekday, like, and that was the one thing we bonded over was Orange Theory.
Tell me this guy didn't show up to your class.
He showed up and registered for the entire month, but it was something I forget what it was, but like, yeah. So the date was weird, and like I got to work the next day. He'd added me on everything. He'd found me on LinkedIn. He was starting to just send me stuff, and I was just starting to get creeped out. And he's like, oh yeah, so our date tomorrow, like I'm making you dinner. And I think I just said like, hey, I'm not feeling too well, like, and it was just what I felt at the time. Like, yeah, there's being honest, but there is also just like choosing kindness and honesty, and like I don't know this person
safety.
too well. Yeah, safety. So I said not feeling too well, like. And also just Austin's a big city. Like a lot can happen in a weekend. I figured this guy would be fine. He would, one date he'd move on. And then, I guess technically I ghosted him. Like, technically I did. But after I said like, hey, I'm not feeling too well. But it was just weird. Like he just kept going. And then the next Monday,
Can I pause that real quick?
Yeah.
Because there is a lesson in there actually. If somebody ever cancels a date for any reason and they don't offer a time for reschedule, that's a no. And just accept it and move on. Anyway, continue.
Exactly. And like looking back to like, this is me 4 years ago or something like that. Like I would have probably handled things differently now, but there is that like, fear, that safety, you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. But yeah, then, Monday I go to my Orange Theory class and he's in there. And I was terrified, like, cause it's like you go into the class, like I couldn't just like run out, but I was getting real creeped out. Luckily we were on different machines, but 5 minutes before the class ended, I kind of run out to the front desk and said, hey, like, I had a weird date with this guy. He's clearly come across town, come to this, this studio at a weird time. Like, I feel weird about this. Do you mind if I just grab my stuff and, run home? I'll call you and tell you the story after the fact. I run home, which was right above there. Like I ran super fast because I was like, oh fuck, this guy knows where I live.
Right.
And yeah, I called down to the Orange Theory and she says, oh my gosh, like what the heck happened with this guy? Like, because what he did apparently, like once I'd left, he like got off his machine and like started like yelling at the front desk girl saying like, why did you just help that girl leave? And like the girl's like 21. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And so she started like cussing her out. And she's like, yeah, the girl tells me, she's like, he registered for the same class for the rest of the month. Like it was so scary, but they were great. Orange Theory was great about it. Like the head coach called me that night and said like, hey, like, do you like, I don't want to like get involved or cause you more drama, but he's like, I can tell this guy he's not allowed to come to this studio. Like we don't want anyone feeling unsafe. Like, it was, I was really grateful that they were really supportive with that. But it was very scary. Like it was just weird that it escalated that way.
Guys, your best way to be good at dating is to not be fucking creepy.
Like it was just, I was surprised too. Like, I think there's also just a thought in my mind of like, the guy seemed like he had a group of friends. It seemed like he was, he didn't complain about his dates or anything. Like I thought he would forget about me, like, honestly.
Right. Well, shit, here we are.
Yeah.
Man, that makes mine way less interesting. Mine is just like very cringe inducing.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom, God bless her, my mom is so grandbaby hungry. It's ridiculous. She's lucky I want to be a dad, but in my early 20s, my sister decided that she was just like, hey, I don't want to have kids. It's like very vocal about the fact that her and her husband are not going to have kids. So I became like the sole source of my mother's like, have a grandchild right now, So my mom see a cute girl out, give her my number, ask for her Instagram, and just like all this shit that it's just like, Jesus, mom, like, please don't do that. But one time it paid off, or so I thought. So she, gives this girl my number. She texts me. I'm like, hey, what's your Instagram? I want to figure out what this chick looks like. And I'm like, oh, like, dude, she's beautiful. And, add her. And she's like, oh, you're super cute. I'm like, hey, this is perfect. This is like a weird kind of meet cute, like some weird sort of thing. So we go out on this coffee date and it was great. It was so good. Like vibed really, really well. Had an awesome conversation. We're laughing the whole entire time. And I was like really looking forward to a second date with this chick, So then I'm like, hey, well, I gotta get out of here. I got work in the morning. Like, I'll walk you back to your truck. She has a huge truck for whatever that's worth to anybody, huge diesel truck. So I walk her back and I hear this little And I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? And she goes, oh, look, it's a family of raccoons. And then she goes, look at those little N words. Hard R. I know, I know, I know. And
No fucking
I
way.
swear to God. And I literally looked around so quick to see if I was about to get the shit beat out of me because of what this girl said, full volume. And I just look both ways. And I'm like, so I gotta go. I had a great time with you. I'll talk to you soon. And I got out of there, dude. And I did not go on a second date with this girl for very obvious reasons.
That's like something out of a bad sitcom.
Dude,
Like,
she would not stop texting me. Like she kept texting me, kept trying to hang out with me, kept this, kept that, kept yada yada yada. And it was so funny because then it was maybe like 3 months later or something like that. One of my buddies posts a picture on his story and he was dating this chick and I told him the story and he was just like, dude, what the fuck? And I was just like, yeah,
so
man,
weird.
get
Like,
out of
I
there.
would almost just be like, what is the mystery behind this? Like, just typical women just always want to know the mystery. Like, so many women, rather than just like cutting their losses and be like, okay, I'm done here. They're always like, I want to know what happened. Like, why did he ghost me? Like,
I would love to tell this girl, you dropped a hard R on our first date.
I wouldn't either, just because I correlate people who use that word with people that are dangerous.
Yeah.
But like, I would almost, but there's definitely the mystery of just like, is that what she said? Like, why? Why?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what was going on in her brain that she's like, this guy's gonna love this.
No, oh my, I don't know what I like. I think we have just like female perspective, like, you know, guys can, there is that like element of safety, but like, that's just the weird, that's one of those like sitcom stories where it's just like,
so weird.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. And I told my mom about it and she was like kind of upset because apparently the way that she met this chick was like a business networking thing. So she was going to see this girl on a regular basis. And I was just like, well, you know, you get to carry that cross now, mom. Good job.
That's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. That makes that's his story. That's for sure.
It was like 8 years ago, so it's really funny now. But yeah, in the moment, I was, oh my god, it was so weird. Anyway, alrighty, well let's wrap this up. If the people want to find you, where do they find you? Can they hit you up for coaching, et cetera, et cetera?
TikTok at Welcome to the Peasant Party. Instagram is Sharty805, CHARTY805. I do not sell coaching services. If you have dating questions and want to DM them to me, you can. I always recommend like putting them in the comments of the TikTok videos. It does help me when I'm able to use those for content just because of time. Like I do like to take like, you know, audience feedback and use those for video ideas. But if there's like if you got, you know, short form questions, I'm always happy to read and jump in. It also just helps me understand like, you know, what, you know, men versus women are thinking about as they're going about dating. So right. I'm totally open to those types of DMs or follows and whatnot.
Yep, absolutely. God, I think I had one more question in there. No, I don't believe I do. Alrighty, well, if you ever find your way to Denver, I will buy you a drink and I will buy myself a coffee. And
absolutely,
if I ever find my way to Austin, I don't know. I want to come to that. I want to come to that freaking German festival.
Fest. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, dude. Like,
yeah, it's in October. God. Yeah, y'all gotta come. And I have a cousin who lives in Denver. I think I go out there like once a year for something. So
hell yeah.
Like I'll let you know if I'm ever out in that area.
Alrighty, that works for me. You got anything else before closing this out?
No, just thank you for having me again. It's great. Both conversations with you have been awesome, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. Well, you have a beautiful rest of your day, and talk to you soon. So until next time, guys, my name is Andrew. This is Charlotte with Welcome to the Peasant Party, and we'll see y'all later. See y'all later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode. If you got some value out of that, please give me a little subscribe somewhere in there, whether that is on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening right now. And you can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, honestly, at Andrew PFM. So yeah, guys, until next time, we'll see y'all later.